changing everything all over the world, in our countries, all across the oceans, wherever you happen to be. When it comes to mobile apps, some industries are way up and some are way down. To talk with us today and discuss what's going on, what's happening, we've got Adam Blacker from Apptopia. Adam,
Hey, everyone.
welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, John. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. I think second time, third time, something like that. You're probably the longest serving
Oh, yeah.
correspondent of TechFirst. So
Excellent.
talk to us a little bit about your personal situation. Where are you in the world?
Yeah.
How is coronavirus affecting you?
Yep. So I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. There a lot of businesses have closed on their own. Apptopia, where I work, is in a basically they recommend working from home, but the office is technically open if you need to go grab anything. But I'm pretty sure everyone's working from home. So, I stocked up on food. I'm in my place, safe, working from home. No symptoms right now, and so far so good. But I'm trying to get out when I can, walk around the neighborhood.
And you have an amazing picture of ocean life behind you. I mean,
Right.
You're doing okay.
It's keeping me sane. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world. It's not a good time to be an airline.
No, not at all. It's interesting. The story's interesting on mobile. I will say across the board, yes, we're seeing globally and in the US, sessions and especially new downloads of airline apps are plummeting in the double digits. And that's to be expected. That's not crazy. It's the same for, other areas of travel as well. I don't know, maybe we'll get into that, like OTAs, hotels, cruise ships, especially, right? But what's interesting is some, you would think it would be like a straight fall for these airlines. And what's actually happening is you're actually getting some small spikes. And what I think the reason behind that is that people are, even though they're not flying right now, right? You see pictures on Twitter, airplanes are empty, but they're checking their mobile app because one, they want to see, well, maybe I can book a flight for the future because, prices are probably way down, or two, hey, I need to reschedule, I need to rebook, or I need to figure out am I going to fly? So they're checking their app still much less than before, but there is some mobile action as people are just trying to figure out what's happening with my plans. You schedule travel so far out.
Yes. Yeah. I've talked to a bunch of people who have been stuck because their particular airline doesn't have an app, or you can't cancel on the app or rebook on the app. So they're trying to phone. They're on the line for 2 hours. Bit of a disaster there. Let's stick with travel since you opened that up. Hotels obviously challenged as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we were looking at, Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, Intercontinental, just looking, globally, and they've been falling, as you can imagine. Again, I do think people are trying to log in and figure out, can I rebook? Can I not? I've seen emails from hotels explaining that, we've taken the safety precautions, but I think people are just nervous. And so, yeah, they've been falling for quite some time. New installs, especially, again, we see usage and sessions kind of meandering, kind of doing some spikes, but in terms of anyone installing the app now, those are just, waterfalling a little bit.
I was thinking the only worst category might be cruise ships. I mean, there have been so much in the news as just these petri dishes of virus, and also cruising around and not able to actually land or dock anywhere because no country will accept them. That's got to be a challenging app category as well.
Cruise ships are crazy. So that's, we're talking about the two I've looked at are Carnival and Royal Caribbean, because as far as mobile apps, they're the most prominent. They have the most action on them. And we're talking about drops of up to 80%. In terms of new downloads. So Royal Caribbean, was for a while in the fourth quarter, averaging around 10,000 downloads a day. And now it's shooting down to 2,000 downloads a day. And I expect that to even drop further down. So drops of 80%, exactly as you said, that's the worst place you could be right now. And I think there's been news about that, and people understand and they'd like to stay away.
There's a little bit more nuanced news in ride-sharing apps, the Ubers and Lyfts of the world, others overseas as well. Some mixed news there, depending on what country you're in,
Right.
correct?
Right. So it's funny. Like this has, as the pandemic has progressed, it's gone from country, and like looking at the app data, you kind of see each country go through the same phases. So not too long ago, I'm going to get back to rideshare, but just skipping ahead a teeny bit. Not too long ago, the U.S. start to prepare, and so what you were seeing is actually like an increase in BJ's and Costco. Right, these wholesale clubs downloads just like surged. And so ride sharing, as you can imagine, first it hit in China. Dida, Didi, Hello, those are popular ride sharing apps in China, and those absolutely plummeted. Like we're talking a 200 combined, all of them together, from November to January. We're talking like a 200 million session drop between all three of those combined. And they are starting to rebound a little bit right now. I was looking at DD earlier today. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. I'm honestly not sure.
I think you have it right.
Yeah, so they are on the rebound, which is nice. So it's like, oh, there's kind of hope on the other side. And so you want to see like other countries start to do that too, like Italy, hopefully soon America. Speaking of America, today I checked the App Store ranks for both Uber and Lyft. Uber's ranking at 157 and Lyft is ranking at 241. So for Lyft, that's its lowest rank in the United States App Store since Christmas 2015.
Wow.
And for Uber, our Apptopia data starts on January 1st, 2015. So for the entirety of Apptopia's data set, this is the lowest that we've ever seen Uber ranked. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of people who rely on that for income. And it's tough. So I've heard rumors, and I hope it's true, that those companies are trying to help out those workers and provide, some stipends to them.
Yeah. Interesting. But what coronavirus taketh, it also giveth in some sense. And if we look at grocery and delivery apps, it's a different picture, correct?
Absolutely. So every day right now, Instacart is setting download records for itself. We have a blog post up on blog.apptopia.com. It explains that to you. So Walmart grocery, Instacart, they're absolutely surging right now. And to me, that's interesting because I guess it's that you want to get your groceries delivered and you think like, oh, coming in contact with just maybe one human is better than going to the store and potentially, bumping elbows with a ton of people. So I'm guessing that that's the thought process behind that. But Shipt is also surging. That is a grocery delivery app that's actually owned by Target. And even though Walmart Grocery announced, hey, we're actually getting rid of our Walmart Grocery app, they want to roll it into their flagship, regular Walmart app, and because they think they'll attract more users there. Even though they said, hey, we're shutting that down, it's a slow shutdown, so they haven't done it in all markets yet. It's surging and hitting new highs and breaking records every day for itself too. So now Instacart has broken download records for the past 4 or 5 days. I believe it's getting around yesterday over 40,000 downloads, and today I'm sure it'll be even higher. So it's really interesting. That does contrast with, I don't know if this is what you're going to hop into, but it's interesting because it does contrast with food delivery. We have seen food delivery apps cooling. And I think the reason is like everyone's like, hey, go out and buy groceries. And so everyone's stocked up on groceries and they have enough to survive for a while. So I've already spent my money. Like I don't necessarily have money left over for food delivery right now.
Food delivery might be seen as a little bit dangerous for some people. Obviously, you're touching containers. There's somebody who's making the food. There's somebody who's delivering the food, and then it comes into your home, right? So I know that we had a little debate in our household about whether we were going to order in pizza a couple nights ago, right? And what we needed to do to be safe to do that. And so people might be worried about that.
So wait, that's interesting. Let's talk about that for a second, because grocery delivery is booming. Food delivery, so like your Uber Eats is plummeting, but it's kind of the same thing. There's a person touching your food, putting it in. So like, are you? I don't want to like get either right now. Well, I did stock up on groceries, so I'm good. But like, are you apt to use one more than the other, or is it just like a blanket thing for you?
Well, we've stocked up a little bit. We have a couple weeks of supplies in case something goes drastically wrong. But honestly, what we've seen in even Italy and places like Wuhan, there was food, there was stock, there were groceries, there were supplies. Maybe not everything that you wanted, but there was stuff. So I'm not too worried about that. So we have ordered in a few times, but We haven't changed our behavior that much right there. So you've mentioned that news apps are way up. Obviously, people want to know what's going on. They want the latest on the numbers. They want the latest on the closures and border stuff that might be happening, closures for airlines, other things like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about restaurants a little bit. That is a bit more of a complex curve that you've seen, correct?
Yeah, especially in China. So right when the outbreak happened in January, you saw things like KFC and local Chinese restaurants that I would butcher if I tried to pronounce their names. They, along with coffee shops, right? Starbucks China and Luckin Coffee, which is a new but rapidly growing brand in China. It's called Luckin Coffee. They plummeted because China shut down. And then more recently, about 2 weeks ago, when things started to slowly reopen, we did start to see those tick up again. Now, it's not that those restaurants are necessarily open. It's more that they're allowing just for mobile pickup. So you really the only way to get your KFC or your Starbucks coffee right now in China is to go on your mobile app and order and just kind of come by. I think you get your temperature checked and then you pick up your order and you're on your way. So those mobile apps are now rising, but it's not necessarily because like everything's open. It's just that they're taking precautions and saying you can do mobile pickup.
What's really interesting to me there is that we've had lots of concerns about data worldwide, frankly,
Sure.
whether there's good data in the US on who's infected or who's not, whether there's been good and accurately reported data in China about what's going on and what the scale of the reopen
Yeah.
is, everything like that. What's interesting to me about this data is it's actual device level data of what people are doing, what's going on, what's happening. And so you see real firsthand data that, hey, things are starting to open up. They're starting to come back to some perhaps new normal.
Right, exactly. I will caveat that just because of recent news in the space, we Apptopia do not have device level data in that respect. We do not collect any personal data like that. Everything we estimate is on the app level. We do talk about daily active users as well, obviously, but it's not because we're seeing, John, like I'm never going to know if you go into Starbucks and
Yes.
you would
Yeah.
never be
Good
counted.
clarification.
And we can, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole right now, but if you guys come across any Apptopia social media posts, you can look and we'll tell you exactly how we get our data. Nothing to be scared of.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I appreciate that. Wonderful. So let's talk streaming.
Yeah.
We mentioned that right off as we were prepping for this call. And that's something that a category that you might think would be booming because, hey, guess what? You have all these people who are at home. Some like you and me, we're working still. Doesn't matter where we are, we're still
Right.
working. But some cannot do their job remotely. And so you think that streaming would be way up.
Sure.
On the other hand, it's actually not, correct?
That is correct. So there's a few things here. Like one, I think for all these trends, the US really just started to work from home on Monday. I know some people started working home the week before, but like the masses really started just this week. So there are some trends that like we got to see play out. We have to see evolve. And I'm sure you'll see data coming from us to speak to that. But streaming, we see mobile app data. And so if you're watching streaming through your mobile app, chances are you are on the go, you're commuting, you're somewhere else. And so people are stuck at home and they're watching on their smart TVs or their laptops. And so we haven't seen a huge influx of downloads or things like that. I will say in China, it was a little bit of a different story. We did see some upticks in China. And I think that is more of a cultural thing, just that China is a much more mobile focused country, and I think they're just used to using it more and used to watching on their phones more. And so we did see some increases in China, I'll say that, but not really for as much for other countries, not really for the United States. And that brings me to, again, what we discussed earlier is like Quibi is launching, I think April 15th or in April. Quibi is Quick Bites, for those of you who haven't heard of it. And it's meant to be consumed on the go. It's episodes of 10 minutes or less, and it's not available on your smart TV. You will not be able to watch it on your smart TV, just your smartphone. And I wonder if they're sweating a little bit, thinking, are people going to be back on the go and able to consume our content?
Well, that's a really interesting one. We've seen a lot of big movies being canceled. We've seen some movie studios say, hey, you know what? We're going to release first run stuff directly to the home via
Right.
our apps and everything like that. And I wonder if we'll see something from Quibi that'll say, hey, you know what? We're going to delay a little bit until things are sort of back to some level of normal. And our value proposition, which we designed for people on the go, will be more relevant.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I wonder if I'll have to watch out. I wonder if they will delay. And I saw what you're talking about, that thing from Universal. They're like, hey, there's some things in theaters right now and you can rent them if you want, that's an interesting move.
I think that's the way of the future, honestly. I mean, coronavirus or no coronavirus,
Sure.
it's insane that we can't have day one access wherever we want to have it, and you can price it at different levels. I think that's the leading edge right there.
Yeah, so interesting.
Let's kind of sum up a little bit, and I'll ask you to prognosticate a little bit.
Okay.
Are we seeing some new normals? And what are the long-term impacts, do you think, of some of the trends we're seeing right now?
Yeah. Wow. So I think in terms of new normal, I think when this thing ends, it'll probably be a slow end, not like all of a sudden one day it's like, oh, it's over, everyone go outside. I think we're gonna see like life go back to the way it was in some respects. The respects that I think it might be changed forever are more of the remote work and school. So there's tons of classroom apps that have been downloaded for teachers to communicate remotely with their students. And then there's a lot of just learning apps that parents can download, especially if you have younger children. It's really hard to get them to sit in front of a screen and listen to their teacher. That's really more for older people, older students, like in high school and middle school. So for elementary kids, I think remote classroom is not great. And so parents are downloading these educational apps like ABC Mouse and Epic Learning to, I guess, homeschool essentially. So I think maybe people, depending on how long this lasts, will get comfortable with remote work, remote school, and at-home learning. And I think those will be industries and things that are here to stay. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have seen Zoom. It's like the talk of the town now. It's the thing everyone's using. And I think that impact on their business will not be temporary. I think that will last as people realize, hey, remote work works.
Absolutely. Interesting. Well, thank you so much, Adam. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
So thanks for joining us on TechFirst. My name is John Koetsier. I appreciate being along for the ride. Whatever platform you're on, please like, subscribe, share, comment, or all of the above. If you're listening on the podcast later on, please rate it, review it. That'd be a massive help. Thank you so much. Until next time, this is John Koetsier with TechFirst Draft.